Hello, I'm Dean from Bottom Line. Today we're going to try and diagnose a water pump using minimal tools, such that you might find if you're broke down out at sea. So this has been sent to me by a customer and it's got some problems. So we're going to do, usually I would use a press and various jigs and fixtures to get one of these apart, but we're going to try it with basic hand tools and see how we go. Mainly as a demonstration for anybody stuck at sea. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the faceplate off and have a little look what's going on under there. So, oh, yeah, quite tight. Luckily, it seems like they're all going to come undone without stripping the heads. Let's have a look what we've got under here. Okay, extremely worn cover plate. Looks like the impeller's in reasonable condition and somebody's polished the face up. So this will be a customer trying to get the thing working, which maybe you'd reverse the cover as well to try and get a bit more suction on there. So this is the first challenge. We're not going to use an impeller puller. Because we might not have one, so we're going to use a pair of water pump pliers and see if we can remove the impeller without damaging it. Oh goodness. Something's gone on. They obviously seem to do a bit of put it in the vise, but we're out at sea. We don't have a vise. Oh, there you go, one last tug. The impeller looks okay. Shaft doesn't look in the best condition, but anyway, onwards and upwards. Oh dear. Bearings feel like they've got some seawater on them. So you might have one of these on board, taking oil filters off. Also works quite well for gripping this. If this pulley was in better condition, probably get hold of it. Using those and a rag like that, but it's not actually in that good a condition, so we didn't need to. Ooh. It's a rotter. It feels like it's gonna round off. Well, if all you've got is a pair of adjustables and I'd say we're not too bothered about this pulley. Needs must. More leverage on it like that. Well, I think we're going to round it off. we're getting anywhere there. Dear God, that's tight. Oh, it's actually just spinning on the... Oh, never seen one that bad. This was not a good one to demonstrate on. My goodness. Somebody's given this absolutely no love whatsoever. The problem we've got now, if we try to jam it up using the end of this, we're going to splay these little prongs apart. This is actually it's made the keyway in the pulley round. Not good. So we're probably going to have to grind that off, which is not ideal because we couldn't do it on board, but we could probably do it using a file or my goodness. Back in a minute. So the moral of this story, you should probably carry a spare nut of some description. And I started this off on a bench grinder, which you probably wouldn't have on board. And I'm going to continue with a file. See if we can get down to the threads. I'm starting to see the tops of the threads there a little bit. Yep, I can see a collection of threads. I'm going to file back towards the washer. We nearly got the nut as far as the washer now. I think we have. So that may have relieved some of the it's not though. We have to do the other side of it as well. Yeah. Back in a minute. So if we really were on board, drifting towards the rocks, we could be on the rocks. But we'll assume that we're in the middle of the sea and we've got some spares on board. And we need to get this apart. expecting to see the threads on that side of the nut. We might be able to persuade that. It's hanging on. Yep, it's hanging on. Go a little bit deeper. I'm definitely seeing threads. Both sides. We have another pair of pliers. I've been for a little route in the anchor locker and I've found a pair of vice grips. Not cheating at all. Right. Let's see. We can overpower this nut. Well, small victories. That was very stuck on. So, let's see if we can. We're expecting this to be not in very good condition. Round, I would have thought, yeah, round. But that's our lesson there. Right, so let's have a look. So the one bit of specialist tooling that you're maybe not going to have, and you just have to chisel away with a screwdriver if you didn't, but a pair of circular pliers. And these are best used in conjunction with a screwdriver anyway, so we'll assume we've got one. Again, found this one in the bilge, so let's see if we can. There we go. So we are getting there. Now this is going to be the tricky bit, because this is where we would use a press, and we would use a special tool that sits on the top of there and doesn't do any damage, and we press the whole shaft assembly and the bearings out through the back from this side, coming out that way. So we haven't got a press today. We have, but we're not going to use it. So we found a socket, and what we're going to attempt, I'm going to put that punch down the middle, so we're tapping on the the back of the slot. Until the whole assembly comes out. Now that is in terrible condition, and where the seal goes, it's all chewed up. So unless you had some spare bearings, I mean, I don't know, maybe you'd get back to shore if you grease those up. If you remove the bearing shields and grease it up, you might get a few miles out of it. But we're going to assume that we've got some spares on board, and for some reason they've just not been utilised up until this point. So we take the little bearing cover, which we've gently removed, and that's come out intact. And then you've got your flinger, which would usually live on the shaft, try to protect the bearings. Hasn't worked in this case. It's probably loose on the shaft now, so it's probably not working. It's probably sitting back there, and yeah, it's not spinning with the shaft. And then the seal. So the seals, again, we do have specialist tooling usually for this, but often persuade them. Of course, this one's not been changed forever. It's a bit trickier. Oh, crikey. So yeah, we put some holes in it, but we can tell by looking at it this hasn't been changed in a long time. So the next issue that you would have trying to put a new seal into this is this place where this journal where the seal fits is really rough, and if I hit with my finger, it's not really smooth anymore, and it's got a lot of debris stuck to it. So you'd need to get in your sink on your boat, and you'd need to get some, get the pan scrub in there and get some fairy liquid, some washing up liquid, and clean this to within an inch of its life, and then you should be able to put the new seal in without any kind of lubricant or anything like that. Pop the whole thing back together. The biggest issue that you're going to have is this has never happened before, but of course first time on camera it does, that this is now round, so it won't key onto that shaft properly anymore. It's going to try to rotate. So the only thing you could do, if you had a flat surface or the back of the socket or something, you might be able to push that lip back. Just enough to get you home, and obviously replace it. We've got a little bit of drive there. If you tighten the nut enough, the new nut, to destroy the old nut, that might get you back. One point about this is it needs a new one anyway, because the internal surface where the V-belt runs is extremely rough on this one, and it started to corrode away anyway. So we'd replace that anyway. Not an expensive spare. You could carry one of those on board. You could carry a new shaft on board, new seal, some bearings. You could rebuild your water pump for a fraction of the cost of buying a new one or keeping a brand new one on board. Better yet, regular maintenance before you go to sea. There you go. So look out for the next video where I show you how to clean and put one of these back together. But for now, that's all. And thanks for watching, and subscribe and like if you want, and see you next time. I forgot to show you how to get the bearings off the shaft, so I thought I'd better just do this little additional bit. Going to use a manky old socket from the boat's socket set. Needs to be one that's just bigger than this little flange on the back here, and then We don't want to damage the threads, the threaded portion on here, so find a couple of nuts. I suppose you could remove these from something if you didn't have spare nuts on board. I'm going to use a little piece of wood to protect the bench. Now I've screwed the nuts right down to the flange. You could lock these two nuts up against each other, but it's probably not totally worth it. Unnecessary. Do something like that to give the shaft somewhere to go. So you see we've mainly withdrawn that now. We'll go a little bit further by backing the nuts off. A little bit further. Stop moving now. Now you could use a brass drift at this point and hope that you don't do any damage. Well, I thought this might work. We've got a pin punch, which there is a little centre pop in the middle of there. Now that might spread the threads out a little bit, but I need something. There we go, we're off. Don't know whether the threads have survived. Yeah, they have. So, no damage to the threads. With that amount of force, it'd be pretty easy to damage the threads. But anyway, there we go, that's that. If you're ever putting bearings back on, it's really important to try and just press off the inner of the bearing rather than the outer of the bearing. Otherwise, you'll actually make little indents in the ball race seat where the balls are striking the seat in a single place. They're designed for a dynamic load of bearings, not a static load. So that's the way to damage them. So you could achieve that with a socket, probably not that one, but a socket that's sort of just the right size to sit on that face, but you'd need to be clearing the shaft. So that one's only going to get you so far. And that one's just about doing it. You have to be very careful though. So anyway, more about that in the next video when we show you how to put a pump back together using basic tools that you might find on board. Thanks for watching.